Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajanara Madhava Jana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe Radhe, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev. Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Sai Gaura Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you. So, as I was requesting all of you, today's session was supposed to be taken by Anand Prabhu, but he had an emergency. So he had to fly to Chennai. So I thought, okay, I will take the session. But in just 1 hour before, I had some urgency. So because my elder son, he was at home, he said, okay, Mama, I will take the class. So I request you all to bless him. He's becoming commercial pilot by profession, and he is aspiring to Radhanath Swami Maharaj for initiation. Hare Krishna. So can we all chant one time? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. Sanjay, over to you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
All the devotees present today in the class. Hope everyone is able to hear me clearly. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Apologies for all these last minute changes. So today I've been given this opportunity to cover 3 very potent verses from Srimad Bhagwatam, and it is I'm very grateful to be here, get an opportunity to share what was already spoken with all the esteemed Vaishnavas present here. So nothing that I'm going to be speaking today is knowledge derived on my own. All of this I have gathered from the purports of Srila Prabhupada, commentaries of great Vaishnavas and lectures by all the devotees in our ISKCON. So with that, I would like to begin the class by humbly seeking all your prayers and forgiveness and tolerance for any mistakes that I may commit in this endeavor. With that said, we will begin. So the format, again, I'm giving class after quite some time. So I will be covering the shlokas of each shloka that I've been assigned. Then I will ask one of y'all to read that shloka. So then we can have volunteers for reading the translation and the purport, or the individual shlokas and translations, purports. And consecutively we'll read it all together at once, and then I will begin the class. Okay. So my screen is already being shared. I hope you all can see the shloka right in front. We are on the 4th canto, titled Creation of the Fourth Order, 19th chapter. It's the first verse. So the shloka goes, Maitreya Uvacha Atha Dikshata Hayamedashatena Saha Brahmavarte Manokshetre Yatra Prachi Saraswati. I see Sindhu Mataji has raised her hand, so I will ask her to read the shloka now, followed by Divya Mataji, who will read the translation. Yes.
Yes, Shruji. Pranam, Shruji. Text 1. Maitreya Vacha Atadikshata Hayameda Satena Saha Brahmavarte Manukshetre Yatra Prachi Saraswati. Synonyms, shall I read, Prabhuji?
Not needed, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, King Prithu indicated the performance of 100 horse sacrifice at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta and it was controlled by Swayambhu Manu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you so much. The second verse. And who all were raising hands once again? Okay, so I will read the shloka and then Krishnamurti Prabhu can then recite the shloka. I need 2 more hands for translation and purport. Anyone would like to volunteer? Giridhari Gopal Prabhu can read the translation and 1 more for the purport. Okay, maybe I can ask somebody to volunteer. We have Nav Kishori Devidasi Mataji present on the group if she is okay to read the purport. Yes? So I'm going to proceed with reading the shloka. Tad abhipretya bhagavan karma tishyamatmanaha shatakratur namam shre prathor yajna mahotsavam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus, Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. And can somebody please read the shloka as well?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, sorry, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
तदभिप्रेत्य भगवान् कर्मातिशयमात्मनः शतक्रतुर्नमुमृषे कृतयोर्यज्ञमहोत्सवम्.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
And Nav Kishori Mataji, if she can read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personality of the king of heaven, Indra. The evidence from revealed scripture, Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of great fruitive activities and thus execution of yoga practices or siddhis. Indeed, he could not tolerate them and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who performed great sacrifices for the executions of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Masara. Masara, envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagwatam, it is therefore said that Srimad Bhagwatam is meant for those who are completely nirmasara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels the other person, the devotee who is excelled, think how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material, the demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you, Dandat Pranam.
Thank you very much, Mataji. The next verse. And can we have the hands once again? I need 3 volunteers. One for the shloka, one for the translation, and one for the purport. Okay, we have one Krishnamurti Prabhu, Sindhu Mataji, and one more. All right. So Krishnamurti Prabhu can read the shloka, Sindhu Mataji will read the translation, and Ambika Mataji can read the purport. I will begin by reading the shloka. Yatra yajna pati sakshad Bhagavan Haririshwaraha Anvabhuyata sarvatma Sarvaloka Guru Prabhu. All right, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. यत्र यज्ञः प्रति साक्षात् भगवान् हरिरीश्वरः अन्वभूयता सर्वात्मा सर्वलोक गुरु प्रभुः. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 3, translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the super soul, and he is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of all the sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Prithu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
By Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, the word Sakshat is significant. Ritu Maharaj was a Sakshat, what is this, Prabhuji? Shakya Vesha Avatara, incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Actually, Prithu Maharaj was a living entity, but he acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. Maharaja Prithu belonged to the Jiva Tattva. The Vishnu Tattva indicates God, whereas the Jiva Tattva indicates the part and parcel of God. When God's part and parcel is especially empowered, he is called Shakya Vesha Avatara. Lord Vishnu is herein described as Haririshwaraha. The Lord is so kind that he takes all miserable conditions away from his devotees. Consequently, he's called Hari. He is described as Ishvara because he can do whatever he likes. He is the supreme controller. The supreme Ishvara Purushottama is Lord Krishna. He exhibits his powers as Ishvara or the supreme controller. When he assures his devotees in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. He can immediately make his devotee immune from all the reactions caused by sinful life if the devotee simply surrenders unto him. He is described herein as Sarvatma, meaning he is present in everyone's heart as the supersoul. And as such, he is the supreme teacher of everyone. If we are fortunate enough to take the lessons given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, our lives immediately become successful. No one can give better instructions to human society than Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I thank all the devotees for volunteering to read the shlokas, the translation, and the purport. And let us try and include this as a practice whenever we read the translation and purports. Either we can say it in our hearts, but please do make it a habit to say it, that translation and purports have come to us by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So we must mention that every time we read the translation and purport. Thank you, everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayashu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavatasvaya Bhagavati Uttaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamam Vande Shri Guru Dinatharanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So we begin with the class by Prithu Maharaj. He begins his 100 horse sacrifices near river Saraswati, where the river is flowing east towards land. Now we all know that the great river Saraswati no longer exists. In the Vedic literature, it is described that Saraswati used to flow from the Himalayas all the way till the Hind Mahasagar. the Arabian Sea. And that tract of land, which is known as, in the translation, it is called as Brahmavarta. So that place, uh, it's 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 present between river Saraswati and river uh, Drishtatwi. So both these rivers are located, that land geographically is situated in near present day Pakistan, near Karachi. So that is where uh, Ritu Maharaj initiated the performance of the 100 horse sacrifices. So it is very important because there may still be many people who might be a little averse of the term horse sacrifices. Because in Vedic society, we are very animal loving. We follow regulated principles. We don't consume meat. Yeah, we are very strict with certain principles. So how is it that in the same tradition, we are allowed to sacrifice horses or sacrifice animals for religious practices like a fire sacrifice? How is that allowed? This should be a very important question that should come to our minds when we read these translations, that how is it that these things are allowed? So let us understand. Has everyone heard of the Rajasuya fire sacrifice? Where Yudhishthir Maharaj, he sends his brothers in all directions. So, what is the principle of behind sacrificing an animal in the Vedic understanding? So, it is this: whenever you are performing a fire sacrifice, there is one requirement, yeah, out of several, but the one most important requirement is that everything needs to be pure, not just the ingredients, not just the individuals performing the sacrifice, even the mantras that are chanted in that fire sacrifice have to be pure. And the condition for those mantras chanted to be pure, the only way is we need to test the mantras. So it is written, it's described in that episode of Rajasuya fire sacrifice. Later on, if you all want to refer, you all can go back to that story. It is read that it is given while the sacrifice is going on. So the main uh, person, the main pujari who is conducting the fire sacrifice, he will also have other priests who will check the pronunciation of his mantras, and he has to perform a test of his mantras. And what is the test? The test is by performing the sacrifice. So you may ask, okay, so if you're performing a test, that means there must be a result. Either it's a pass or a fail. So how do we know if the mantra works or not? So here is how. If you perform the fire sacrifice, that is, so you take the horse and you behead the horse, yes, and you take and you offer the flesh into the fire. When you chant those mantras have to be so potent that the soul from that horse is granted either the exact same body or something better right in that moment. That is when you know that the mantras you are chanting are potent, and the person who's chanting those mantras is equally potent and is bona fide. So this is the test, and this is how they initiate every single fire sacrifice. And you will see this has been going on for time immemorial. If you all remember, in Ramayana, there is the episode of Dashrath Maharaj. He's not able to get sons, and he is very worried who's going to continue the kingdom after him. And so he is advised by Vasishtha to conduct a Putra Kameshti Yagya, a special kind of fire sacrifice, where he was asked to behead a horse and offer it in the flames, and all the wives, they had to breathe in the fumes of the burning flesh coming from that horse as it's offered in the fire sacrifice. So all this, it has a specific purpose. All this is so that you test the purity of the mantra. But there is also another condition, that in those ages, the mantras were so potent, so pure, and the brahmanas were so qualified that it was but assumed that when they are chanting these mantras, the animal that is being sacrificed will automatically attain a divine body. So there was no room for error. It would never happen that a fire sacrifice is taking place and an animal is just being killed just for the namesake. In fact, that is something that used to happen in the beginning years of Kali Yuga. And that is why the Lord had to incarnate as Buddha to come in and stop all the animal sacrifices, because all these kings and all these brahmanas who were not from the proper sampradaya or lineage, they were just sacrificing the animals just for the sake of meat eating or just as an act. So they were not following the Vedic tradition. So this is very significant. Whenever these sacrifices were taking place, the process would be something like this. For a great king, it is important that he selects the best kind of horse. Usually it's the white horse, and it's of a particular breed. And he will send his army in all the four corners, all the directions of the planet. And he will request all the kings in different parts, regions of the planets, to either accept him as the emperor, and if they do not accept him as an emperor, then they need to wage a war. And so if they win, so the other kings need to accept him as the emperor. This was the condition. So only after all the kings in all the worlds, all over the planet, once they accept him as the king, only then that king can perform this Ashwamedha fire sacrifice. So it's a very elaborate event, goes on for years and years. And many demigods would also participate in this. So this is something that King Prithu was conducting. And what exactly happened? When he was conducting these 100 fire sacrifices, towards the end, Indra would come in and he would steal the horse. So now why, you may ask the question, why 100 horse sacrifices? Why not 2? Why not 3? Why not, some any figure that you like? What is this affinity with 100? So it is said that if you do 100 Ashwamedha horse sacrifices, then you will become the next Indra. So Indra obviously was very insecure of this. You will see Indra in multiple occasions, those of you all who are familiar with many of the stories of Indra, you will see in many places he has come and either disrupted a horse sacrifice or interfered in some or the other manner, which you may find very despicable. Now, Indra is a very difficult personality to understand. We need to understand what his position is. Okay. He is said to be the director of this entire planetary, this entire universe, in a sense. Everything, while it's all created by the Lord, but he is sort of managing the whole show. And under him are all these other demigods. So he has a very important position. He needs to coordinate the positions of the planets. He needs to make sure that there is the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of moonlight, that the planets are in the right place at the right time, that all the living beings are getting what they need. This is the job of the demigods. And it is best illustrated from the story of Hanuman. When Hanuman was when he leaped up into the sky when he was a child, trying to grab the sun, thinking that it's a mango. So at that time, he got distracted when he saw Rahu. The planet Rahu was coming because it was time for solar eclipse. So Rahu was supposed to be there. And because Hanuman came in and he saw this huge giant monkey, so Rahu then started going the other direction. And so Indra, he became very worried, and he had to interfere. So you see, Indra has a very important position here. He is coordinating a lot of these multiple affairs in the universe in order to maintain order. And with great power comes great responsibility, and also with that great responsibility comes great fame. So Indra has a lot of fame. He is the king of all the demigods. So obviously he has some kind of ego. So Indra is not an easy person to understand. It is said every day in the heavenly planets, the Lord will appear. The Lord descends to the Swargaloka, and he is personally worshipped by Indra on the Garuda. Indra gets to have personal association with the Lord. Indra gets to enjoy the various, all the various things that are there in Swargaloka, all the amenities. He has so many beautiful apsaras serving him. He has so many Gandharvas who are singing his praises. So he's a very important personality. And also, there are various illustrations of how Indra really functions. He is definitely a devotee of the Lord, but it is said he's more of a karma mishra, bhakta. So he is the kind who prays to the Lord, but he likes to enjoy as well. He's the kind who likes to enjoy bereft of the Lord in his own little company. So this is the position of Indra. We know this very well when we hear the pastime of Indra when he goes to the Lord and he begs the Lord, can you please rescue us from the wrath of Narkasura? Narkasura has stolen the earrings from my mother, Aditi. Can you please rescue us, oh my dear Lord? And the Lord, having so much of affection for Indra, he goes along with Satyabhama and he defeats Narkasura. It was a great battle. And after defeating Narkasura, Indra, he's so grateful to Lord Vishnu. He falls at his feet and he's begging him for mercy. And Lord Krishna then blesses him. And as he's departing, Satyabhama, uh, she requests the Lord that, can you please take the Parijata flower from the Swargaloka planets? And at that time, the Lord, who is very merciful, he, of course, he will fulfill the desire of all his devotees. So he takes the Parijata flower, because ultimately the Lord is the owner of everything. And when he does that, Indra, who few moments ago was having a lot of gratitude for the Lord, in that very moment, he assembles an army to fight with the Lord. So Indra is a very difficult person to understand. And this is not the first time that Indra is stealing a horse from the fire sacrifice. If you'll recall the incident from the 9th canto of Bhagwatam of King Sagara, it describes the descent of the Mother Ganges. So King Sagara was also performing these fire sacrifices. And at that time, after the 99th fire sacrifice, Indra would come and steal the horse. So while all of this is going on, it is written in the purport of the second verse that, just like all of us living entities, when we want to enjoy bereft of the Lord, how can we enjoy bereft of the Lord? Because our nature is Sachidananda. We all are spirit souls. So how can it be that if your nature is to serve, how can you enjoy bereft of your master? So the Lord understands that. And because he understands our desire, he makes certain arrangements for us to enjoy. Obviously, we can never enjoy, but this is how he makes the arrangement. First, he prepares a material world for all of us. Then he gives us a kind of body which is suitable for our enjoyment. And then he also installs a software. And what is the name of that software? It is the false ego, envy. So with this envy, so only with the false ego and with envy, only then you're able to have this false sense of pride that I am the controller and I am the enjoyer. And if anyone is making progress around you, that is always going to worry you. So Srila Prabhupada writes this, that is the intention of Srila Prabhupada when he writes that in the purport. So, there is a story which was said by Gaurang Prabhu in one of the lectures. So if you go to the fisheries, yeah, you will see all these fishes when they have been captured from the sea. They are all kept in these big boxes and it's covered with a lid. All these fishes are, covered with a lid so that they don't escape. But you will see these big crates, it's filled with crabs. And those crabs will not have a lid on top. It's just left open. And you may wonder that won't the crabs like escape from the box if we leave it open? But actually, it's interesting that the crabs can never escape, because anytime a crab tries to climb up, one of the other crabs will pull it down. Yeah. And this is also, incidentally, this is also the nature of the material world. So anytime anyone is advancing, other people become envious of that other person's advancement and they try to pull him down. It can be subtle, or it can be through physical means as well. Yeah. So now it is very important to understand that with envy, we cannot approach the Supreme Lord. You can engage lust in the service of the Lord. You can engage anger in the service of the Lord. There is example of Hanuman. He engaged his anger in service of the Lord. The hunchback lady in Mathura, she engaged her lust in service of the Lord. Like this, you can engage your greed, illusion, attachment, all that you can engage in the service of the Lord. But you cannot engage envy in the service of the Lord. That you will have to destroy, because that envy is going to kill you someday. And we know this by looking at the story of Dvivida. Does anyone in this group know who's Dvivida?
No, Prabhuji, like looks like familiar, but the red.
I will give you all one hint. Okay? I'm taking this, well, technically it's from Krishna, it's in the Krishna Leela also, but it is also from Ramayana. Any guesses?
Yeah, the Vanara, the monkey.
Yes. Mataji got it
Very
right.
good.
Yes. So Dvivida. But do you know, Mataji, what happened to Dvivida? Does anyone know what happened to Dvivida, the gorilla? It's very nice. It's we can refresh our memories. So there is this great monkey in the army of Sugriv by the name of Dvivida, and he's of equal caliber to Hanuman. Many of the monkeys, you may think Hanuman was the only powerful monkey in the army of Sugriva. Of course, he had so many abilities, he was gifted, but every single monkey in the army of Sugriva had special abilities, and Dvivida was no match. He was also a very powerful monkey. It is said that if he went to the ocean and with his hands, when he used to churn the ocean, it used to generate tsunamis on all the directions. So his hands were so powerful, it had the strength of 100,000 elephants. That was the strength of Dvivida. And he fought in the army of Lord Ram. And he was a great devotee of Lord Ram. What happened to him? He had envy in his heart towards Lakshmana. He used to think that why is Lakshmana so close to Lord Ram? Why only he gets to stay in the company of Lord Ram? Why not the rest of us? So somewhere that envy, that seed was planted in Treta Yuga, but it grew and it blossomed when that same Lord Ram appeared as Krishna. So envy takes a long time, but if you keep it in your heart, if you do nothing to just cut it, then it grows and it grows. And it blossomed when Dvivida, he was associating with Bhaumasura, who was technically the son of the Lord. Yes, but he was a demon. So in bad association, Dvivida became even more envious of Lakshmana. Lakshmana is the original spiritual master. He is the supreme personality of Godhead in the mood of a servant. Wherever the Lord goes, first Balaram appears, and then he makes all the arrangement, then the Lord appears. He's envious of that individual. So it is obvious that when Dvivida, when he happened upon that tract of land in Vrindavan where Lord Balram was enjoying with his consorts, at that time, Dvivida, he saw, okay, here is Lakshman. And he went and he created a havoc. He started attacking Balaram. He went and teased all his consorts and started undressing them. He was very indecent. And he started passing urine and stool and creating a havoc. So then Lord Balaram, he had to interfere. And he struck the head of Dvivida, and Dvivida was dead. So if there is one thing in the journey of Krishna consciousness that we need to watch out for, that is envy. Yes? So envy, fault finding, these are two things that we need to kill in the process. Only then can we advance. This is the biggest hurdle. So obviously, because Indra, he had this in his heart, not to the degree of Dvivida. I just explained to you to what extent can envy take you. But yes, Indra had to some degree some envy. So obviously he was doing all these activities. So then in the next verse, it is mentioned that Prithu Maharaj is said to be a Shaktavesh avatar of the Lord. So there is this concept of Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. So all of us are considered to fall in the bracket of Jiva Tattva. So if I'll ask you all some questions. So we all know Pancha Tattvas, right? So is Advaitacharya Vishnu Tattva or Jiva Tattva?
Vishnu.
Very good, Matri. Why? So if you say Vishnu Tattva, you should also know the answer. Because he is Mahavishnu. Advaitacharya is Mahavishnu. What about Nityananda Prabhu? Is he Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva? Anyone?
Is Vishnu Tattva, Prabhu?
Tattva.
Yes, Vishnu Tattva. What about Gadadhar Pandit? Is he Vishnu Tattva or Jiva Tattva?
Vishnu Tattva.
No, he is not Vishnu Tattva. But he is also not Jiva Tattva. He is actually Shakti Tattva. Gadadhar Pandit is a form of Radharani. And Radharani is said to be the eternal potency, the Ladini potency of the Lord. So that is known as the Shakti Tattva. So like this, there are various, personalities. All of us, we are the marginal potency of the Lord. So we are known as Jiva Tattva. Now there is something very interesting. So Narad Muni is also considered Jiva Tattva. Can we all agree? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
So now, Vishnu Tattvas, they can expand into multiple forms, yeah, at their own will. We know this in the Rasa Leela. The Lord expanded into multiple forms and he was present with all the gopis. But can Jiva Tattva expand?
No, Prabhuji.
No? So we cannot expand into multiple forms. Why? Because we are the marginal potency of the Lord. Yeah. But in quality, we are the same. So why cannot we expand? Ultimately, we all are spirit souls, right? We are also Satchidananda, just like the Lord. So why can't we expand? Anyone? I'm not looking for a correct answer. You all can just share what you all have in your mind. So the answer is this. Okay.
Because
Yes, Mataji.
We are just a part and parcel of the Lord.
Yeah, Jiva Tattvas are lot different from the Supreme Lord because we have the material nature propensity, like
Correct.
to say that
Correct,
we are,
Mataji.
yeah,
So
conditioned. We are all conditioned souls.
there is an exception. There is an exception. There was this one lecture I was listening to where it was mentioned. And of course, this lecture I heard a long time back. In that lecture, it is mentioned that Narada Muni, yeah, he's a Jiva Tattva. But there are occasions because he has to be in so many places at the same time. Sometimes he has to be present in the spiritual world. And at times he needs to be situated in one place. So in order to accommodate all of this, he has special potencies which the Lord has given him, that at that time even Narad Muni can expand into two forms and be in two places at the same time, even though he's a jiva. And this not only applies to Narad Muni, this also applies to the Guru. The spiritual master can also expand, even though being Jiva Tattva. Because the exception of the spiritual master is that he has potency from Nityananda Prabhu, who is the original spiritual master. So he's also part of that lineage. He has the potency of Nityananda Prabhu. And at the same time, he being the Jiva Tattva is gifted with abilities by the Lord. Yeah, so even Srila Prabhupada is considered as a Shaktiavesh avatar. So even Jiva Tattva. So in the case of Narada Muni, you will see at times he is situated in one place where uh, he's teaching the four Kumaras, and at that same time he's present in the spiritual world with the Lord, even though he's a Jiva Tattva. So now there is a very important distinction I would like to talk about. Yeah, we all understand the difference between matter and spirit. Yes, that we all are spirit, this body is matter, and there is the spirit is considered to be part of the spiritual energy, and the matter is the material energy. Yes, the Maya, the external potency of the Lord, is conducting the material energy, and the internal potency conducts the spiritual energy. So we see these two things as very distinct. Yeah, two separate things. They can never mix. Is that everyone's understanding? But what if I told you that in Bhagavad Gita, in one of the purports of the third chapter, it's mentioned that actually the energies are interchangeable. Yeah, isn't that amazing? That it doesn't matter that how you matter. Yes, because as long as you are engaged, you engage it in the process of Krishna conscious, it becomes spiritual. Like for example, I'm utilizing this laptop for a class. Yeah, you all are utilizing your devices. So because we are utilizing it in the service of the Lord, so now this has become spiritual. I've just converted this piece of matter, no consciousness, I've just converted it into something spiritual to some degree. Srila Prabhupada once was mentioning during a class that, of course, we can utilize technology in service of the Lord. This microphone that I'm speaking into, because I'm speaking glories about the Lord. So now this microphone has become Krishna conscious. So you can technically convert matter into spiritual. And because you do this, and how do we know this? We know this is true because Dhruv Maharaj in the fourth canto, it is mentioned, Dhruv Maharaj, he goes back to Vaikuntha in the very same material body because he had performed Krishna consciousness to such a degree that even the material body had become spiritual. So he goes back in that same form to the spiritual world. So with this, I would like to conclude our class for today. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Mataji.
Babuji, you were talking about envy, right? Envy is one thing which you should, very difficult also to cut off actually. I mean to say, as you know, yeah. So it's natural because God has created each individual, differently. Like, so it is very natural. Even a very good person in the mode of goodness also tends to fall into envy at some point of time, right?
Yes,
So how do we practically, how do we try to, we chant, we read books, we are totally in association. But other than that, is there anything we can do to, like how we control the other things, like we eat prasadam. So slowly we are able to cut down our anger, greed, lust, everything. So for envy is there because
it's like one patient is asking the other patient, how do we get rid of this disease? But I will try my best to answer it.
Haribol.
Of course, I don't consider any of y'all to be envious in this group, but for the benefit of everyone, Mataji, there was this class given by Radhanath Maharaj where he was saying that all these different things which we can convert into Krishna consciousness, envy is one thing that can never be utilized in Krishna consciousness. So how do we cut this envy? So important is association. Association is what will save you. In Dvivida's case, we saw because of his bad association, that seed which was planted, it blossomed. So obviously, there may be seeds, but if you do not water that seed, it will never grow. Yeah, it will never grow, and then eventually it will die off. But it is very important in the case of envy that we focus on association. Association is what will save us, and good association. So, there are practical ways in which we can do this is, we find circles where we have like-minded people with whom we can discuss. So, for example, this forum, you all gather every single day, and we are discussing Srimad Bhagwatam. So this is one very good way in which you're trying to cut down that tendency of envy. So it takes a lot of time, Mataji. It's not very easy. So especially
and I feel prayer also works. I used to do that before. Like, because we are all children of God. We are all Krishna's of father, but still Lord provides opulence to one, and some he creates middle class, like that. There is comparison, no? So envy also comes up. Oh, he's having a bigger one, I don't have. Like, so that is coming up. So,
No.
okay.
So
Thank you, Prabhuji.
yes, in this
Yeah,
case, it's association. And I had also mentioned another thing during the class, yeah, which is we should avoid fault finding. That is what will also save
Yeah.
us. Fault finding is going to save you. And another thing, because so it's sort of connected to what I was going to say just now. Because if you avoid fault finding, especially with devotees, then you avoid offenses. Okay. So when you avoid offenses, then your chanting, your spirituality doesn't get affected. And with that, the chances of envy, it sort of goes down over time. So I would say, just these few things, if we can keep it in check. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so my mother is saying if there are any other questions, y'all can post it in the group, and I will try my best to answer it. But once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyayo cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnavan ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hari, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for helping me, supporting me. Dear devotees, if we have no question, then can we stop for today? And if at all there is any shortcomings, please excuse him.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranams.